In Campaign 2018 Local Matters, we're taking a closer look at Wisconsin ahead of the midterms. Governor Scott Walker says he's running for his third term in November, but the former 2016 presidential candidate is actually worried about a backlash election. Walker's worries are similar to that of his Republican colleagues. They're concerned about a blue wave that could push Wisconsin Republicans out of office. Patrick Marley is a state capitol reporter for the Milwaukee Journal Sentinel, and he joins me now from Madison. Patrick, thank you for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
You bet. When you look at Walker's approval ratings, it's about 49%. What do you think the challenges are as he goes into seeking his third term?
A lot of things are going Scott Walker's way. The unemployment rate is low. He's leading his rivals in polls. He's had some rounds of tax cuts, but he's very concerned with Trump as president and the Democratic base activated. There's a lot of concerns. He's been very open about his worries that a blue wave could be coming to Wisconsin.
You know, we've mentioned Walker and other Republicans' concerns about this election backlash, but this was a state that helped put President Trump in the White House. And it's also a state that didn't elect a Republican nominee until back in the early 80s. So are these fears that the Democrats have really warranted about a resurgence? Excuse me, the Republicans have.
Well, we'll see in November. I mean, Wisconsin has traditionally been a purple state. Trump did win Wisconsin, which was the first time since Reagan's reelection. Republicans have had a pretty firm grip on Wisconsin in recent years with Walker controlling government along with Republicans in the legislature. But, you know, Obama won handily in 2008. He won the state in 2012. Tammy Baldwin won in 2012 and is up for reelection for the U.S. Senate. So I think this will be a real test whether the Republicans have, you know, turned the state from purple to red, or if we indeed are a more middle-of-the-road state.
You know, in every election, the economy matters, jobs matter. We know that Governor Walker is hoping that the new plant for Taiwanese electronics manufacturer Foxconn in his state will actually help him. The president visited the groundbreaking last week. Do you think Walker can sort of bank on this as momentum going into November?
Well, the Foxconn deal is something that he has really championed. The state is spending about $4 billion in state and local taxpayer money for a plant that's going to have about $10 billion of investment. So it's a real question. Walker's saying that he sees the public opinion improving regarding it. Democrats are taking the absolute opposite position and saying they will campaign hard on it. They think it's a raw deal for taxpayers. I think in many ways this election will in part be a referendum on that Foxconn deal.
And, you know, then there's HarleyDavidson, which is also Milwaukee-based. President Trump criticizing them for announcing that they're taking jobs and shifting their production outside of the U.S. to avoid tariffs. Walker actually owns a Harley-Davidson. Have you seen him ride one before? I'm kind of curious about that.
Oh, yeah. He rides his Harley all the time. In 2015, when he was having a short-lived run for president, he was in Iowa on a Harley ride. I was there for that. When he was Milwaukee County Executive, which is the highest elected position in Milwaukee, he held that before he was governor. He would take a statewide tour on his Harley. He talks about his Road King all of the time. He's, you know, embraced Harley. He says he's got 100 T-shirts for Harley, but he's been quiet as Trump has gone after Harley in the last week and a half.
Patrick, originally he had said that he was supportive of the president's tariff policy, but with this in light of Harley-Davidson, do you think that he is still of that mindset?
Well, it's very interesting. When Trump first started talking about increasing tariffs, Walker went around the state and talked about how he thought that would be bad for the state's manufacturers and disagreed with the president on it. Then in more recent times when the president has talked about tariffs, the governor has only said supportive things about Trump because Trump has said that eventually he'd like to get rid of all tariffs for everybody. That's a position that Walker shares. So he's been focusing on that, hasn't been critical, publicly about the short-term policies Trump has put in place, which Harley has said is why it's shifting some of its production overseas.
I want to also ask you about the Senate. We know Republicans are targeting first-term Democratic Senator Tammy Baldwin. It's an effort, obviously, to try and maintain control of the Senate. What do you think the factors are that are working against the GOP at this point?
Well, I mean, she's raising a lot of money. The Republicans have a two-way primary, lots of money being spent there, but it's that's a distraction for the Republicans while Tammy Baldwin's raising money. And she is, counting on a blue wave as well, that she can be a check on Trump. That's going to be a big factor in this election. But the question remains, both right now in the latest polls, Tammy Baldwin and Scott Walker both look like they're in the best position. Wisconsin traditionally, long ago, may have been a state of ticket splitters. Hasn't been so much in recent years. I think a real question is, could both Tammy Baldwin and Scott Walker win?
That's a great point. Patrick, Marley, grateful you can join us to explain politics outside the Beltway.
Thanks.